I feel like medical school books were written by the pharmaceutical industry. Why, when you get a specific diagnosis, is it so scary? And then you get tortured to your death. I started seeing all of these younger nurses, like in their 20s, 30s, trying to get pregnant. And I'm like, why is there so much infertility? And I can only think that it's, even if they didn't have Gardasil, I'm like, continuous birth control. What else are they gonna come up with for population control? There was a huge financial incentive. Why would the insurance companies come and say, you get this much more money if they're admitted ICU and this much money if they're intubated? It was,
Welcome back, guys. I'm extremely excited today. I know we say that all the time and we say this all the time. It feels like deja vu, but I've been wanting to get this person on the podcast for a while. I've had the idea. I literally just reached out to her recently, but really excited because the stuff that she's been working on and the stuff that she's been getting into is things that are on the forefront of health and the way that the entire population is going to, now that we kind of really understand what traditional Western medicine has been doing for a long time. But before I get too ahead of myself, I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce my co-host, Will. How you doing, man?
Incredible, man. Happy to have you guys.
thank you.
Yeah, we've had some real interesting conversation before we went live today, and I'm excited to dive into it.
So today we have Shannon and Michelle from Ally for Health. How are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I wanted to get started with this whole trend right now of looks maxing. Have you heard about this?
What is it?
It's called looks maxing, where kids are, doing a whole bunch of manipulation and facial things to, I guess, accentuate their features and stuff like that. I just wanted to get your take on this trend of kids doing all sorts of things and hormone therapy when they maybe shouldn't. Maybe they're a little too young.
Okay, so I do hormone replacement therapy, and I actually have a 100% success rate because I do it right. And I think that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do hormone replacement therapy in a very balanced way and only if you need it, not to change your gender. I see so many things. People come to me and it's done wrong. And these are people that are hormone deficient or hormone imbalanced, and they can be young, so then it's appropriate. But our organs and glands communicate via hormones. So if you're trying to change the way that your body functions, listen, I have no problem with people having homosexuality or anything like that, but I do have a problem with people harming themselves because the long term, it's devastating what can happen. If your organs are supposed to be doing one thing and you're trying to completely suppress that and make your body do something as if you have organs that you want it to be doing, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then the risk for cancer and all that stuff goes up. And again, if your organs and glands can't communicate, nothing works. I mean, I'm talking thyroid, adrenal glands, gonads, which in women are ovaries, and men are their testicles. The message goes up to the brain is affected. So I could really talk a lot about that on a whole entire, podcast if we ever get to that. But yeah, I don't think it's a good idea.
Something that you mentioned before is how you say it's a trend.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's many like young people, like minors, 15, 16, trying to make a transition when they don't even know this is actually they want. Some of them make the transition, and when they turn like 25, 26, they're like, what I did that.
Right.
They regret it.
Yes, absolutely. So if somebody after like 25, 30 years old is thinking about the transition, okay, it's more optional. But if you're like 13, 15, I don't think it's the right.
You don't even know you don't know anything when you're that young.
Correct. And I mean, I can't believe that anybody that specializes in hormones and actually understands what hormone therapy is could ever ethically do it because of how damaging it can be. And I've known people, actually, I have a very, very good friend, and her daughter went through it to the extreme. Surgery, hormones, and legitimately looks like a male. But there is a lot of psychological stuff that has now become a side effect, and it's really kind of hard to see it,
Yeah,
Yeah, especially when you have that first person
Yep.
experience of this happening, because
Yep.
most people will see these people online having an experience, going through it, maybe reaching that climax, that apex point where they go like, "What did I do?" and then start to also document their undoing, trying to salvage a little bit of what they used to be, which seems to be like you can't fully get to, right? Once you've done, depending on the damage you've done.
Well, it depends. If you have glands removed, then it's always going to be an artificial hormone replacement. And again, that's not always done right, because even when I give a man testosterone that needs it, the message to the brain is you don't have to send out these other messaging hormones down to produce anymore. So I always do a peptide that regulates those two hormones, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, so that a lot of times what I see is they need less and less testosterone rather than more and more, because you're not creating testicular failure. So if you're removing things, if you're removing ovaries in a female trying to become a male, then, you know, if she ever makes a decision, he or she ever makes a decision to go back the other way, you know, then what do you do? Then you have to be on hormone replacement therapy. But then what happens is, too, they start having these other problems, you know, not long after. I mean, it could be 1 year, 5 years, but if it's 10 years down the road, like I said, your glands and your organs can't communicate, and then they regret it. Why did I do this? So all of the education should be there. All of the education should be there. This is what you're looking at in 1 year. This is what you're looking at in 3 years. And they shouldn't be, you can't sign a consent form unless you're an adult. Then you shouldn't be able to sign a consent form for that unless you have all the education. And I think there are some places that do it, but they make them do, you know, therapy and stuff first to make sure that they can handle it. But
you should have to go through like an extensive course
correct
before doing anything.
Should be the same way when you're getting chemo and radiation as well.
Right.
Yeah.
You said something there when you started explaining that, which was, I caught it and I was like, this is exactly what it is. Is if you understand what hormones do, right? To which extent do you think that practitioners and professionals out there actually understand hormones and their functions?
I don't think they do well enough, you know. So, you know, this big thing is pellets, right? So I don't do pellets. When I do hormone replacement therapy, I have people that come to me and a lot of them have done pellets and they're like, I hate them. Or I travel all the time and it's just more convenient. Well, let me explain.
What are pellets for people that don't know?
Sorry, hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
So what they do is they have a pellet compounded with a specific dose that they then do a stab incision, usually in the butt cheek, always in the butt cheek. So you do get these little stab marks too, which don't go away. And then they put the pellet in and then it releases. So over the next, depending how much they put in and how fast you utilize it, you have this peak of hormone. So your hormone levels go from where they are to way up. And then over time, they're constantly coming down. So when I say that the hormones and the glands communicate, the organs and the glands communicate through hormones, if you shoot them up and they're coming down, and then you shoot them up and they're coming down, what do you think that's doing to the messaging in the body? You can't regulate it. And you really need even keel messaging. And also, you need some of the other things, like, why are you 30 and you're perimenopausal? Which I just had that happen to somebody very, very close to me, which surprised me. But it had to do a lot with other underlying problems and long-term synthetic hormones with birth control and IUDs and stuff. So that's a whole nother topic too. But you want to regulate everything. You know, you want to give something that will give you these even delivery, give you the nutrients that your body needs. Something's missing. You know, why aren't you producing any more? Why can't you detox? And when you ask if people understand hormones, I always do a Dutch test. I will not give hormones to a woman without doing a Dutch test, because I have to see how they metabolize and methylate. Because if they can't get out the estrone, which is one of the three main, primary estrogens that damages the DNA, if you can't get that out, I don't want to replace the estrogen that we do replace, because it converts into that. Testosterone also converts into that.
It is fueling the fire at that point.
Yeah, for me, it's easy, but it does take a lot of education. And people will bring the Dutch test to their gynecologist. No offense to OBGYNs at all, but you're not trained with that stuff. You kind of have to like go out of your way
Right.
to understand these things
Yeah.
and get the education.
I could say, I definitely say I'm a health nut.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we meshed so well together, because I have an extensive background with my father on preventative health.
Yes.
And
That's-
when we look at the way that the West has been moving with the official titles for a doctor or an oncologist or people that go to school, they spend the time and they get what I consider to be indoctrination, where they come out and they start prescribing things for a problem that causes two more problems. How have you found it? How have you found it in your experience when someone comes to you with a problem that they didn't even have, right? They come to you and they're like, hey, I've tried everything, but I haven't tried this. Like, how is that for you?
So I want to go back to the first thing that you mentioned. So it was so funny because I did infectious disease for years, and I was in the hospital setting for over 22 years. Never private practice, and critical care the whole time. Taught critical care, but when I got my graduate degree, I did neurology, and then I went into infectious disease, and I worked with these brilliant doctors. They were wonderful. And moving on, seeing different things, getting out of the hospital, going outpatient neurology, sleep medicine, I started doing a little bit of functional medicine. And I'm like, this works. Like all this other stuff, it's like, bring them in, and this one drug works for these 5 things, and then the drug reps are in there, which is just what their job is. And then you're like, oh, good, I have samples of that. I can stop your migraine with this abortive therapy because it's going to take me 30 days to get this expensive thing approved after we show the insurance that we've done 50 other things that are not patented anymore. And so to get this expensive one, I mean, it's exhausting. Yeah. So I started doing a little bit of functional medicine, and I saw that it worked. And I met with the infectious disease doctor that I worked with. She was in a man's world back in she's my parents' age. And we had lunch one day. And I said, I feel like medical school books were written by the pharmaceutical industry. She said, funny, you should say that. And she pulls out an article or on her phone. And she showed me in 1900-ish, Rockefeller bought a medical school in Massachusetts to get petroleum in the pharmaceuticals because he wasn't wealthy enough, being a oil and railroad tycoon.
Yeah, go figure.
Yep. So then that was the start of the fall. And apparently, so when he bought this medical school, he brought the FDA in, brought the pharmaceutical industry in, and since then, the medical school books, you can pretty much be assured that they're written by the pharmaceutical industry. And there's like no nutritional education. And the way that our bodies are designed, every single gene requires certain nutrients in order to stay deactivated or functioning properly, if you will. So I'm like, wow. So what I don't like to see is that people don't see that. Like I started to see a long time ago, like this stuff doesn't work. Like why when you get a specific diagnosis is it so scary? And then you get tortured to your death. Why don't a lot of medical providers keep reevaluating and seeing, oh, you lost weight. Maybe instead of keeping you on these 5 cardiac drugs, maybe we can start to take some away or give the body the nutrients that I was mentioning that will actually allow your blood vessels to go back to functioning, expanding and constricting like they should, instead of being hard from inflammation. So I just saw, and then I'm like, you know what? And then when I only knew a tiny bit when I got out of the hospital, and I just started doing that, and it was working. Like these horrific autoimmune diseases, neuropathy, just give them some nutrients and it was going away. And I'm like, oh. So then I dove in, and I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who was a doctor in the East, and he's no longer a doctor because he moved to the States, and he was like, I hate how we're being force-placed to do things that I don't believe in and I don't agree with. So he's no longer a doctor. So he went through all of that to now not even practice medicine.
That happened with Carla from Venezuela. She was a surgeon. She came to the US, she got her nursing degree, was going to go back. She's like, I cannot do it the way that they make you do it because insurance dictates it.
Right.
Which is why I can't take it because it doesn't cover all the stuff that works that I do. But I went to bat for my patients when I did take insurance. I'd do the peer-to-peer. I'd get on the phone with the doctor or whatever from the insurance company to get stuff approved. And they all knew it at the office. They're like, Shannon will fight for these people.
Right.
Anyway,
And you said you worked in neurology?
yes, I've been doing neurology pretty much my whole career.
My wife has epilepsy.
Okay.
And February of last year, she had a real bad seizure. I remember she was going through the process of like, we're going through like disability and all that stuff because she was a teacher at the time. And they're forcing her on all these meds, and the meds were making her seize more.
Ugh.
And she doesn't have the seizures where, you know, you're driving and all of a sudden you just start seizing.
Yeah.
She has the seizures where it's like, I don't feel good. Like, hey, I'm having symptoms. Be on alert.
Okay.
And then she has warnings to it.
They get the aura. Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
right. But I remember going through that process, and it was like, we didn't even go through disability. We didn't go through anything. Because it's like, well, in order for us to approve anything, you have to take your medicine. We have to do the blood work showing that you're taking the medicine. That's making it much worse.
Get on the medicine that you don't have to do blood work for.
Oops.
Oh, see? Look at that. That's what we need.
And here's the other thing that's very good to know about somebody with epilepsy. You don't want them not to take medicine if it's not controlled, obviously, but what are the triggers?
Mhm.
Lack of sleep, flashing lights, certain smells, and do the best to avoid it, you
Mhm.
know?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's lack of sleep, if she's got insomnia, she's going to have seizures. So she has to get a sleep study and see what's going on.
Yeah.
So
We did the 10X health system with Gary Burke. I'm not sure if you know who Gary is or.
I don't off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, we did the
Sounds
blood
familiar.
work and all the stuff.
You've
and-
seen him. Yeah, you've
Yeah,
showed
it
you.
sounds very familiar.
Yeah,
I'm bad with names.
You'll know who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went through and it was like one of the smells that she says triggers her migraines. And she says her migraines are actually worse than her
Oh,
seizures.
migraines, yeah, they're brutal.
The smell of blueberries will actually do it to
Blueberries.
her. which
Vanilla is
so
a big
weird.
one.
Vanilla?
Vanilla, I had Morgan, she had chronic migraines when I met her and rarely had them after she started working for me. But I could tell you what your wife needs. She needs magnesium, big time, and a couple of other things. But magnesium it activates GABA, the calming neurotransmitter. So it's very excellent. But yeah, if she knows blueberries are the trigger, she can't use our pen that you just got me the other day. Wasn't it blueberries or grape? Oh no, that was grape. Sorry.
Yeah.
The scented pens. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing. And you already know with migraines, I've had people with the worst migraine attacks walking into like Bed Bath and Beyond because they have all the Yankee candles.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Bath and Body Works. You're walking through the Macy's is the worst. There's
Hollister.
Yeah.
Hollister. I mean,
Hollister.
fucking
very
Hollister.
distinct. Right.
Macy's is like, I mean, they're like, I can't even hardly stand it. And I don't have any of that kind of
You
stuff.
walk out
but
inflamed.
Yes.
It's great.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned you worked in infectious disease,
Mhm.
COVID.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on COVID?
I had left infectious disease and gone into like general hospitalist critical care, rounding pretty much attending, so managing the whole cases. So I still did a lot of it, but when I was doing that, I had 30 patients a day in the acute setting in the hospital, and 10 of them were COVID, and we had to dress up in spacesuits. So that was time consuming, and then try to see 10 of them and then 20 others. And I did not get vaccinated because I kind of knew about the patents from 2002 and 2004 where they were already trying to patent the vaccines, and they were like, get out of here with that. It's public record. It's not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And they were
They're
killing all the
vulnerable.
rabbits with heart failure. And so I'm like, I won't. And then I take my vitamins or whatever. So I had COVID a couple of times, mild. And then I got out of the hospital. And then I got Delta, which was a mutated version. I'm going to say it. Vaccines mutated them because the way that the COVID virus was designed was to have survivability built into the DNA. So like HIV. So it was going to be able to figure out a way. Thank God our bodies are brilliant because now what happens when you get COVID? Not much.
Yeah, not at all.
But then when it was like a foreign thing, and then, getting the vaccine, and I was never mad at anybody either way, but people were mad at people like me that didn't want to get vaccinated, though I almost died from the Delta variant. My oxygen was in the 60s. You can hear I'm hoarse. I have reactive airway disease. And the wrong blood type. A positive was more problematic for COVID. I survived it. I had to go home with oxygen for a little bit, and I was running in 2 weeks. But my opinion on it was a crime against humanity. And I think we all did the best we could. But I don't think anybody should be mad at anybody. I don't think people that had autoimmune disease should have gotten it because it triggered it. And, now I think more of us know what I was trying to say back then.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying, though, that there's patents for a vaccine
Specifically the COVID
20
vaccine.
years before COVID or 16 years before
16
COVID.
and 18
actually.
years before COVID. Yep.
Public
So,
record.
When I was doing my functional medicine training, I did a School of Applied Functional Medicine, and I went to Hippocrates for Doctor's Days training, and as a guest, and right up on the screen, you can look them up. I don't know the patent numbers off the top of my head, but I think they're 5 numbers long or so. So
why do you think they did that, though?
because they knew the virus was being developed.
Well, why do you think they created the virus?
I don't know, biological warfare.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine any other reason why.
Right.
Yeah.
Or population control.
Right. Yeah, because I know you say you're not mad at anybody, but there's people that were your blood type that also had the oxygen levels that you had that were put on respirators.
And we didn't know because I was in the hospital. When somebody comes in with an oxygen in the 60s and 70s, you intubate them.
Right.
We didn't know that the spike protein pokes the heme on the red blood vessel, which spills oxygen out everywhere and creates massive oxidative stress because there's nowhere for the oxygen to attach. Because with all this massive inflammation, your oxygen receptors are taken over by something else. Mitochondrial nitric oxide gets overproduced. And then it has a higher affinity for oxygen receptors. That's one of the sciences that the red light reverses. But so yeah, you put them on the ventilator, you put them on 100% oxygen. Hyperoxia is bad anyway. So you shoot their oxygen level up, and all it does is create massive inflammatory, cytokine storm. And they have full system shutdown.
Yeah.
And their lungs flood. It's an immune response. You get like lymphatic fluid, like all the stuff is coming to the lungs to try to do something. And yeah, so people can tolerate a low oxygen level with COVID that was completely defied any science we knew. So it was very, very confusing.
Yeah.
We were killing people and had no idea why.
Yeah, that happened to my aunt. And one of the saddest parts is a family member was the doctor at the hospital in Kendall Regional that put her on the respirator. So
we didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it totally defied any science that we had ever followed. And again, I've been critical care all but the first 6 months of my career. Trauma, everything, cardiac, and I taught critical care for hospital systems. And I mean, that's what you would have always done. You want to get the oxygen up. We had no idea it would kill them.
Yeah.
So you just let them be low oxygen, or sometimes that didn't work either.
Yeah.
But
They were
God
also
forbid.
incentivized, right? There was a financial incentive.
There was a huge financial incentive.
Right.
Oh my God. And if that's not a crime against humanity, why would the insurance companies come and say, you get this much more money if they're admitted ICU and this much money if they're intubated? It was, oh my God.
It's like they knew that this was going to happen.
It's funny that you know that because when we wrote our notes would get higher reimbursement because we have to put in there what we're seeing, and critical care visit spent this many minutes and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get paid when you work, and you need the hospital to get reimbursed. And the practice that I worked for, I was not an employee of the hospital ever since briefly with neurology. Everything else, we were hospital privileged, medical staff. But, the reimbursement, if you're doing it, but why is the reimbursement so much higher once they got put on a ventilator? It was like insane.
Yeah, that's the right question to ask for sure.
And that's a true story.
Right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Lots of questions.
Lots of questions. Thank God we can actually live our lives now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for the
We
time
can
being,
go places.
till the next one comes.
Next one. I know, I'm telling you what.
Yeah.
And then going back to the thing, what did I just think of when we were talking about something? Oh, the population control. So I want to talk about how infertility is happening in younger people.
Yeah.
And I another thing, just thought of it myself. The Gardasil shot came out, which is for HPV prevention. And I was older and I had had my kids and I was married. So I'm like, I didn't need to get it. And they were promoting it mostly for young people. And it was for girls initially only. And then I started seeing all of these younger nurses, like in their 20s, 30s, trying to get pregnant. And I'm like, why is there so much infertility? Like, these women cannot get pregnant. That's just not the way it's supposed to be. I had a hard time not getting pregnant. And I just started asking, did you get the Gardasil shot? Because my kids, I have 4, 30 to 15. And as they were coming up in age and it was going to be approached or, suggested, I was like, and almost all of them, I have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which causes low progesterone, high testosterone, sometimes middle of the road estrogen. But it causes infertility, it causes weight gain, it causes metabolic syndrome,
Cysts.
insulin issues,
The
all that.
cysts, right? That's the cyst one?
Cysts on the ovary,
Right.
they get hair. Like, you can almost see a beard. I can tell a hormone imbalance from a mile away, PCOS especially. But Gardasil, I'm like, my kids are not getting that. And then my daughters were getting put on continuous birth control, where when I was younger, you stopped for the week that you were supposed to be menstruating with the placebo pills. And then the IUDs. IUDs were only allowed to be given to women that had already had a child, and probably because your cervix had never been dilated and it would be painful. Now they can have them. Now I look at women that are in their 20s and 30s and they need hormone replacement therapy. And I can only think that it's, even if they didn't have Gardasil, I'm like, continuous birth control, which is synthetic, which our body doesn't recognize.
Right.
It confuses it. So anyway, all those things. And I think, so to your point, what else are they going to come up with for population control?
Yeah, well, they're shifty.
Yeah.
They. Funny that you mentioned the whole Gardasil thing. My wife, she got the Gardasil shot. She developed PCOS in her early teens, and we thought that we were going to have a hard time conceiving because of the whole thing. But ever since we were living in Charleston, we started, with diet, with exercise, with our
You can
regimen.
detox anything out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you give if you give the body what it needs, the building blocks, it could just undo a lot of the things that it's done. So
It's brilliant.
thank God I have a 5-month-old that's keeping me up.
I saw your recent video when
Yeah.
you were talking about drones or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, it is.
It's a she, right?
It's a he, but
Oh,
it's Shiloh. Shiloh's a
Shiloh, okay.
androgynous name.
And I will say, in my defense, you can't tell the gender when they're that little.
True. It could
story.
be
He's a
cute
pretty
little
one.
girl. But yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the news of China said that they reversed diabetes and Russia has a cure for cancer? Have you seen any of that?
I haven't, but no, but in Europe, the standard of care is completely different than here. I'm certified in mistletoe, so I don't know, and nobody knows what it is here, but that's the standard
Yeah, I
of
was
care.
gonna say like little.
I don't know if I would trust the China thing because, is that okay to say it?
Yeah,
80 to 80.
no holds bar on this show.
80 to 85% of our meds are made there. Gordon Chang, I'm going to throw his name out there. I went and heard him speak down at Trump International Golf Course. I was invited. And he was an international lawyer, partner of a law firm based in China, I think 20 years. I think he's American born in Chicago, but full-blood Chinese. And he was advisor to presidents and defense secretaries and different people, United States government. So he's knowledgeable. He has books. So we went and heard him speak, and it's insane, like what's going on there. So I asked him, I've had people with heavy metal poisoning in ICU that were getting their meds from China. I mean, I'm like, is it the wife? The wife worked with us. We love her. Who poisoned him with arsenic? He had lead, mercury. Before he stopped being able to talk, I asked him some questions. He said, I'm getting my meds from China. I was like, why? He's like, they're cheaper. So we sent him to a lab and they were full of arsenic and mercury and everything. So I asked Mr. Chang, I said, I stood up, got the microphone, waited my turn. What percentage, if any, of our medications are manufactured in China because of the things that I saw? He said 80 to 85%. And we asked them, he goes, and we asked them to do it because we couldn't, corporations have a hard time affording to, do it here. But so that's one of the things that is trying to be brought back here. So, but I would like to know what that is the cure for diabetes and cancer.
Yeah. Look into it. I'm sure you're much more well read
wouldn't
about
trust
these
it
things than I am.
personally, from those two.
Yeah.
They don't have our best interest at heart.
Yeah, it could be just propaganda too. Like this is something that
Of
we've
course.
talked about for a long
I mean, we can talk about propaganda for.
day.
I mean, the United States is
That's
probably
all
the worst
those.
of them all.
That's all their citizens here is propaganda, like
Yeah.
North Korea too.
Yeah, like they also were in the rooms where Bernays was talking, you know, and showing people exactly how to manipulate things. So I think most people nowadays, at least most people I know, I surround myself with, are understanding that the veil has been lifting, right? Like in The Wizard of Oz, the man behind the
Yeah.
curtain.
Yep.
We're starting to take a peek.
Mhm.
And what does he say? He's like, nothing to see here. Don't look over here.
Thank God we have freedom of speech and freedom of thinking right now, because you know,
Right now.
I know.
Key-
Well,
keyword. Yeah.
it was a little scary there for a while.
Yeah.
But there's still so much that we don't know. There's plans everywhere.
Yeah.
Just watch some of these movies, you know, with the CIA and stuff. You know, I don't know. There's so much that we don't know. We will never know.
Speaking of freedom of speech, do you feel like our freedom of speech is being encroached on right now?
It has been. I mean, I know, because I do peptides, because I do stem cells, which are legal, but the FDA came in and took the best peptides off the market. And their reason was, cannot prove it does any good or bad, harm or good. Well, yes, it does. And they've been out, a lot of them, for many decades. I mean, 60s, 80s, ivermectin. I love it. I take it. You got a target on your back if you order that stuff. And if I try to order it from like a commercial pharmacy for somebody with COVID or something, they will not fill it. They'll fill it for a parasitic infection or like, you know, something in the gut. But they're afraid. So, you know, I mean, it's tricky.
Yeah.
And you just don't know, like, if you're going to have a target on your back. So
Right.
there's certain things I don't put on my website. I'm not too worried about it because I do everything evidence-based. I'm not making stuff up. There's thousands and thousands of studies on everything I do. I'm not guessing. So
What would you say to people right now that may be listening to us that have no idea that they look at the wizard as an actual wizard and not the little man behind the curtain?
research, read, you know, pay attention. Don't just be a sheep.
Yeah.
You know, following and listen to the right things and read the right things. You know, like my dad has CML, chronic myeloid leukemia. Took me 2 years to get him to listen to me, just to get put on low-dose Naltrexone, which is very well-known, boosts the immune system, makes you produce endorphins naturally, and his cancer was undetectable in 8 weeks. He was in remission. So, and he's the guy that said, Shannon, ask 10 MDs if you should get the COVID vaccine. I'm like, tell them to ask me. You know, I mean, that doesn't mean anything to me when I've done the research. So I wanted to put him on one other thing because his blood pressure was all over the place. That would also help with other vascular stuff, hemorrhoids and stuff. Also helps with erection. This is kind of a funny story. So the one thing he didn't like, it was a medical food. It was a prescription. So I'm like, just take some Cardio Miracle. I love that stuff. And he calls me up like literally that week and he goes, I love this stuff. Not for the reason you think. I said, sure. Because I had told him the other benefit. He's like, sorry, Dad, my hemorrhoids are gone. He was calling me every 2 weeks for the suppositories. Anyway.
And now
I know what it was.
Yeah.
There was a point to this. So he read about that medical food, which kind of does a similar thing, makes you produce epithelial nitric oxide naturally, like beets. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
A lot of people know. He read a study that said it was bad. And I said, show me the study. And then I sent him a bunch of studies, National Institutes of Health, PubMed, more neutral, more all-inclusive.
Less funded by the...
Yeah, it's not just, right.
Right.
Like, I have a hard time with, you know, certain, yeah. So anyway, that's an interesting story. So you really have to pay attention to what you're reading.
Yep.
I recommend National Institutes of Health and you know, which is PubMed, if you really want to see the real story.
Yeah.
And there's studies, there's statistics. They're not making it up either.
I wanted to ask you something because we had a conversation about a week and a half ago about this patch, right? And I know you're going to have a good take on it. I know what my take on it is, but have you heard about this X39 patch that uses photobiomodulation to, it's just a little patch, and it claims to do stem cell activation just based
I've heard of these.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
So photobiomodulation just from one little spot on your hand, I would have to research it. I can't speak against it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like I have a red light bed, I have red light panels, I have a handheld red light, for the face. You put it anywhere. And if it's localized, I don't know how that would work. Photobiomodulation basically frees up oxygen receptors. Negative ionization cells repel each other so they can flow better. So that's all good. But since I do the real stem cells, mesenchymal, and we use the plant-based stem cell technology, Exosomes, because we are identical to plants.
Actually, I have a personal story about the X39.
Oh,
really?
good.
We used to carry on the place where we met. We
Yes.
worked together.
That's how I knew about it.
Yes, my grandma has a chronic pain in her lower back, like for years, and she's back in Colombia. So she tried all the medicine. I used to send her supplements from here. And then we get the X39 patches, and I said it's just a little patch. It doesn't do anything. It's fine. It doesn't gonna make it worse. So I took some of them and I gave her Grandma, just put this one in your bag. We'll see if it's working. Actually, 2 weeks later, she told me the patches was working.
You put it directly on her back.
Mm-hmm.
Like right here, somewhere in the back,
Lower-
like
yeah,
the lower
yeah.
neck.
She has lower back problems, so I told her to put it in the lower back. Usually, when you put it right behind your neck.
And I've seen people put it by an artery, somewhere.
And actually, what was working for her, I said that was a chronic pain for 75-year-old lady. So they say they don't have any medicine, and it in the patches is very similar. So
There's some technology. So when I do estrogen replacement, it's a patch.
Hmm.
Patches are good at delivering whatever they're delivering at a continuous, on a continuous basis at a consistent level. So I just don't know what's in it. They talked to me about it back then, but I don't. If it works,
Yeah. This is the way that I look at it is it might be working. If it says photobiomodulation, it's supposed to be reflecting back light that we emit naturally.
Okay.
it
Energy.
radiates.
Right.
Yes.
Energy. So there could be something to that because my father does energy manipulation with acupuncture.
I love energy medicine.
But it has to do with magnetism. All the needles are magnetized. So there's a pathway through which it works, right? The meridians. But when I look at the patch and I research it, I'm like, I need more. I just need
more information. I wish I could give you more.
Yeah.
But did she continue using it? Did it stop working? Did it?
For 2 months.
And then she didn't have the pain again, but come back?
I mean,
So she had regeneration from it.
Right.
I doubt it's
She said-
placebo.
Right.
Yes, that was thinking about it too. Probably she just think actually this much will work.
Mhm.
So probably her mind was coming down the pain, but she said she feel relief over 60 to 70% of her pain. So
I think more
That's
people
measurable.
would be.
Yeah. Actually.
I think people would be more skeptical. So you would maybe lower the placebo. But I mean, since we have stem cells in our body.
Yeah.
We have our cells. We have 30 trillion cells that communicate by energy. I love quantum physics. But so if it works on energy, I mean, magnetism, we can't live without it.
Yeah.
We can't live without electromagnetic fields. I believe, God made electromagnetic fields. And then there's the man-made ones that confuses our cell communication. Anything that helps the cells talk to each other is going to benefit you. So the photobiomodulation confused me because it's light, but it's energy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Right. So there is a pathway. There's a 5%.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So again, if your oxygen receptors are getting freed up, then you're able to oxygenate tissue. Your cells can respirate. You're going to have healing because the cells are functioning. The mitochondria is producing energy, ATP. And also the photobiomodulation creates that negative ionization, like I said. Cells repel each other. When they're stuck together, you lose all the surface area to absorb all the nutrients and the oxygen. And the blood flow is kind of sludgy. So if that does that, I mean, it can
Off of
only
one
help. It can
patch?
only
Yeah,
help.
that's-
I know.
right.
I'd stick them all over myself. I just get in the red light bed.
Get covered.
Just go get in the red light bed.
Yeah.
So what does red light do?
It's photobiomodulation. So all those things that I just talked about, but in layman's terms, it regenerates blood vessels, makes you grow new ones, angiogenesis, regenerates nerves. It heals you faster, quick recovery. I am older. I'm going to make a new decade this year. And I said I have a 30-year-old, so you can do the math. But I needed glasses about 3.5 years ago or so. And I was kind of bragging because I'm just going to say it, I was 46 by the time I needed readers. And I'm like, well, bummer. And then I have the 4 kids, 2 of them wear glasses and their vision's pretty rough because they have astigmatism. And I'm like, I need readers. So they're like, welcome to the dark side, Mom. I went in the red light bed when I first knew what it was, first was exposed to it back in 2021, I think it was. I had no idea that it would do anything for my vision. I went in it 3 times, went to put readers on, and they were really light readers. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't need them. I still don't. And I'm going to be 50 in 6 months or less.
So when you go in there, you don't have the little.
I do
just
not.
go in there.
I go in. The light seems very bright at first.
Right.
Me personally, I close my eyes because there's 4 wavelengths on my red light bed and a lot of them, and they penetrate different depths. It's nanometers. So surface of the skin helps reverse oxidative stress, deeper, deeper, deeper. But I think it's the angiogenesis, the blood vessel regeneration.
Yeah.
So is this better for you than like, because I've only done the red light saunas. Is this the same thing?
Totally different.
Different? Okay.
I have at our office, we should talk about what we have. We have a red light bed. We have a far and near infrared sauna with full spectrum heat. So you can change that if it's too intense. So it heats you super heavy from the inside out. There's some red light in there. It's not the same. It's more like it goes through the different colors, which colors have different benefits. It's more like seeing the light, not the penetration of it. So it's different. When you talk about the saunas, and I don't know the one that you went in and how much red light there is, but the far and near infrared, the difference in the technology between that and a regular dry sauna is that it penetrates. It heats you from the inside out, hotter than the air around you, deep. So like it gets into bone marrow, makes you produce blood cells. So I have people with low white blood cells. I'm like, just get in there. And they go up. But it because of that, it goes out, those blood cells will go after cancer cells and inflammation.
And plus the red light bed is anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
It's anti-aging.
It's so good for your skin.
Yes, it's completely different to the
Sauna is also anti-inflammatory and anti-aging because you're detoxing, but it's different. Yeah, you're boosting the immune system.
How often should you use red light therapy?
You can do it every day, 20 minutes a day.
That's what you recommend?
We do it every day. We step outside, right?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
Actually, the UV light, you want to do maybe 30 minutes a day, not at the peak of the sun in Florida in the summer, but the red light will reverse the UV damage. You know, people come in and are like, so it's like a tanning bed? And I'm like, no.
It's everything but the
Reverse.
tanning.
It reverses the damage of the tanning bed. So
You got to try it.
you
It's
can literally do it every day, but I mean, most people aren't. But as much as you can do it, you stay in there for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. I always put people in for 20. And I have them do that before they get an IV, because then they get like way more nutrient absorption, or before they do hyperbaric, because then they free up all their oxygen receptors, and then they get blasted with oxygen. It has somewhere to attach. So
What's hyperbaric?
hyperbaric oxygen therapy is high pressure. You go in a chamber, and the air compressors, it's closed very, very tight, and then you basically put air in it, and it increases the pressure. It's like going underwater,
Right.
like with the weight of the water, and then it's got 100% oxygen. So we're breathing in room air, which has been dropping because of
pollution and everything.
yeah. So say we're at 20% here. In the hyperbaric, you're at 100%. And there's different levels of hyperbaric. Some you dive deeper, like you're further under the water, if you will. And some of them, you're not as deep. You got to be very careful and be in a medical setting to go to like real deep. Like people that have wounds that won't heal, what it does is when you're forcing all that oxygen in under high pressure, like forcing it in, your body's like, I have to be able to deliver this oxygen to the cells. So you'll grow blood vessels. So it can grow blood vessels where there's been strokes and damage. It regenerates tissue. Like you can grow collateral circulation if you have blockages in the heart and the legs, diabetic wounds and things like that. And without that, it's hard to heal.
This is just from oxygen.
Oxygen under high pressure.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's the Wolverine effect.
The Wolverine peptide. I named it that and somebody copied me because that's what they call it now.
All
That
right.
BPC 157.
Oh.
But yeah, no, it's those all reverse oxidative stress. But what's the other thing I was going to say? The main thing. I can't think of it right now. But the stacking, when you stack the therapies, your benefits go up probably 1,000-fold.
I want to talk about stacking benefits because
Mhm.
obviously the peptides, the red light, the hyperbaric, hormone balancing. What would be the main difference between someone like that's looking for an esthetician that's going to like fix their face, right? Because they just want to look good, versus somebody like you guys that's going to do it topically, but also fix their inside so that it fixes an internal.
Something that you have to have like very present in your mind is everything and anything that happens inside your body, your skin's going to show up. So it doesn't matter if you come to the office and get all the treatment, like, for example, like hydrofacial, that it will have this Aquaform. There's a medical grade hydrofacial. Doesn't matter if you come every month and get it, if you don't treat it like the concern inside.
Yep.
Which are these like gut problems, digestive problems, hormones problems. So it's not only like how you look, it's how you feeling inside. So we have in our practice like the best combination where like beauty meets science.
Mhm.
So it's different if you're like very healthy, you have all your hormones balanced, if you have like very healthy lifestyle and you just want like a glowy skin, you're going to an event, or you don't want like toxin like Botox and you're concerned about like wrinkles, sun damage here in Florida. And when you have to like treat something from inside.
I mean, it just makes sense. The inside is reflected by the outside, but the aesthetics that we do, and we have the leaders in the market, our devices. I was the first and only person to have the Scarlet Pro. We're having a launch event April 9th on that. And we had the Scarlet. We've been doing Scarlet the same amount of time. We actually were both introduced to it when we were introduced to each other in 2022 at a conference. And I'm like, we have to get this device, the practice that we used to be at. So that regenerates everything from the outside. So everything, I tell people, anybody that comes to me, I'm not going to force myself on them, but if they want help, I always help give the body what it needs, just what it needs for everything. But that doesn't mean you're not going to age some from the outside,
Of course.
So it's very important to do the inside, but this other stuff it's a total cheat.
So what is
It's-
Scarlet?
Scarlet is a radio frequency microneedling device, and the new one just is better. The needles are sharper, the technology's better. They've added the heat. So you basically are creating a thermal and a mechanical injury with heat and needles. It's not painful, and there's no downtime really. You're like red for 30 minutes. And we use the plant-based stem cell technology, or exosomes, called XOE, which even NFL players use them. I put them on joints. People buy them all the time because it can heal everything. So when you create that injury, your body's immune response is to come in, bring platelets, which are full of growth factors, collagen. It stimulates the reproduction of hyaluronic acid. And she's also an expert on this stuff. But this particular technology with the Scarlet Pro, it tightens and resurfaces, like makes your skin, it just regenerates the cell. So you're aging backwards, basically, surface-wise. Gets rid of stretch marks. If people have, women more so than men, we get like crepey skin on our thighs and sagging stretch marks from having kids, scars from surgery.
Acne scars. I think
Acne is a really, really fascinating recovery. Acne scars, I mean, people would be stuck with those forever in the past.
Mhm.
But, there's things like facelift, but like we're talking about being
basic.
healthy and regenerating versus just pulling up the same dry, leathery, wrinkly skin to make it tight.
Yeah.
I have people that get facelifts because sometimes if they really like I might need one day, but I'm keeping up with the other stuff. They can get the facelift, but to make the skin like regenerated, this other stuff works. And we have an incredible laser.
And plus, not everybody wants us get surgery, or they
Correct.
can like afford a surgery.
Or they prevent it by getting this stuff
Yes.
and keeping up with
100%.
the prevention of the aging of the exterior.
How often do you have to go through that process of using
Depends on your goals.
Uh-huh.
For example, in your age or my
Correct.
age, that we just want
And how much
more
damage you've
preventative
sustained.
than like repair. Even just one treatment, you will see a big change. But if we're talking about like somebody like over 60 years old with like sun damage, deep wrinkles, large saggy skin, usually we recommend like 3 treatments on the roll, and after that
A month apart.
a month apart, and after that we decide, depends on the result that you're looking for, if you want to go for it for like more, or you get the result that you were looking for.
And then you maintain like one every 6 months or so. But the rule of thumb typically is every decade, that's how many treatments you need. So like in the 40s, you need 4 a month apart. But if somebody's like, not the first time they've done it, they've really taken good care of their skin, they've kept up with stuff, we're not going to oversell somebody,
Right.
you know? And if somebody financially, I'm always sensitive to people's finances too. You can always come back and get more, you know? But whenever somebody buys a package, there's discounts if they get 3 or more. So in our event that we're having, it's like, I mean, a $3,000 package ends up being 2 because with the 20% off and then the additional event pricing. So some people are like, I'll just pay for 4 now because you're not going to get that price again probably for another year.
Right.
Yeah. But then the stuff that she does with the facial, and then I do the laser, all of these items, all of these 3 main ones that I'm talking about, they do hair restoration as well, which is huge after COVID and hormone problems.
So we have like the option, like we
Hair restoration, you say?
Oh,
Don't give him any ideas.
you should see how well it works. I wish we had pictures to hold up here today, but anybody that goes on my website, they can see some of the before and afters, even like my belly. My belly, I've had 4 kids. She did scarlet on my belly back in like 2022. And 6 months later, I was putting on yoga pants and I was like, I wasn't even paying attention. I had like the best belly. And that was one treatment.
These are progressive treatments. So
I need it again.
after you get, for example, the scarlet, that is more like deeper and invasive treatment that we have, the first results, you see it in the first week. More glowy skin, you feel tight, but you find the results, you see it 3 months after, 90 days after. That's the time the skin takes for like full recovery, boosts that
It
collagen
keeps getting
production.
better.
So only over time it's gonna get better.
Even though like literally I had a lady, she had a facelift and then she just had the lower in her 70s and she got a package of scarlet. And the second time I was doing it, she's like, what does this do again? I did one side of her face. I cannot make this up. I have pictures. Sat her up and so this side was like this already. I just did it. And this side was like, you know, and I said, it tightens, it lifts everything. And she's like, oh, you know, she had a package of 3. And then came back later and did laser for the dark spots. And her hands, I did because she had the face. I'm like, I'll just do the hands for you. She was fascinated by that.
That's awesome.
Immediate results. Like
You're going to
keeps-
have to send those photos to Adelio so we can make sure we add them to the
Absolutely.
We can
snip
put
it there. Yeah.
Our VA ninja is gonna get on
Yep.
top of that.
And I also do PRP Derma instead of like regular filler. This, and by the way, all of these devices we get from aesthetic management partners, which they also have the stem cell plant-based organic technology. I love that. It's one of my favorite company. So a lot of people come to me to sell their stuff, and I'm like, this stuff it's just too good.
Yeah.
But the PRP Derma is one of their systems, and PRP is platelet-rich plasma. So draw the blood, spin it, and you get the bottom of the plasma, like the bottom
Yellow
20%,
stuff.
and that's full of platelets, very rich. Platelets are regenerative. That is what for our own body sends platelets somewhere to repair things. That's why you can have a huge cut and it heals. So when you concentrate the platelets and you put them somewhere in a joint or whatever, use it for aesthetics, you can imagine what happens. With the PRP Derma system, we spin it and we have the plasma and the gel separator separates it from the red and white blood cells, which are inflammatory. So we use all of the plasma with the PRP Derma. We take the top 80%, which is platelet poor, heat it, and then cool it, depending on the thickness that you want. So it's at 100 degrees Celsius. You heat it around 7 minutes, cool it for 7 minutes, and then mix it with the platelet rich and use it as filler. And the results are unbelievable. And you don't look like filler face, and it's slow release of the regenerative cells, and you're getting regeneration. Dentists are using it for bone regeneration instead of doing bone grafting on people that need implants or whatever, and they've got loss of bone. We all lose bone over time. And in our face, it'll show. You know, we lose the collagen, we use the ligaments, and the skin cells get old, and then the bone loss and everything just kind of looks saggy. So when we do the PRP Derma as filler, it's wild. It's
your
wild.
plasma. Nothing will
You can't have a bad reaction to any of the stuff that we do.
Right.
Honestly.
Because your own body's producing it.
Yes, but the other stuff, the plant-based, our bodies recognize they're organic, anti-inflammatory. We don't use anything toxic in our office.
Right. Synthetic. Nothing like
Nothing. I mean, the testosterone is usually synthetic. It's kind of hard to get away from that. But even my IV lounge, there's no chemicals in the bag itself, like PVC, DEHP, cancer-causing stuff, no latex. The nutrients, none of them are GMO, no preservatives. No preservatives in the saline. Nada. So I'm not putting something bad into somebody's cells directly.
Yeah, that's why we love you, because you're a nerd about this stuff.
Yes, I am a nerd about it. But a lot of places, I'm like, I have clients all over the country. I'm like, just make sure when you go to these IV places, just see if you know, they don't have the preservatives, because your liver doesn't get a chance to detox that out when you're going straight into the vein.
Yeah. Might come in fine and leave a little bit more.
I mean, yeah, you don't want you don't want that in your cells.
Mm-hmm.
When we eat it, like when we eat preservatives and stuff, the liver is detoxing it out, making it harder to metabolize the nutrients because it's busy doing something else. But when you go into the vein, you're going straight to the cells. So
Right. I wanted to talk to you about the stacking of like BPC 157, the testosterone boosting peptides and all this stuff, because a lot of men are doing that, especially to like recover from workouts, be a little bit more intense. I'm currently on like day 26 of a keto reset that I'm doing, but I'm also a psycho, so I'm combining it with a feeding window of 6 hours.
So you're
intermittent fasting
and doing keto.
So, but I also started working out again after not working out while my wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I tore something. I'm pretty sure a little tiny tear, because I've been trying to like mend it, doing the knees over toes guide protocol, and it doesn't want to heal. So I wanted to talk to you about BPC 157.
Oh, you'll heal quick.
Okay.
And with the BPC 157, I always would tell people it makes you heal like Wolverine. They actually named it the Wolverine peptide. And I'm like, yeah. But something else, so you can, when you have an injury, you can inject it right at the injury, like morning, night. But now they're stacking peptides too. There's Glow and Clo, where it's got like the BPC 157, TB 500, which used to be thymosin beta 4, and GHKCU, that's my favorite one. GHK is a peptide that carries copper to the tissues and the cells, and copper regenerates everything. So then they attach copper to it. Those all three are in the Glow. So I have a guy who was a professional world champion bodybuilder. He's a very well-known guy. He's actually a naturopathic doctor, and he's one of my clients. Wrote all these books that are very well-known, but I won't mention too much more but he had a real problem with his rotator cuff, a lot of musculoskeletal stuff that we've been working on, but I ordered him that one, and I said, you know what, just inject it in, it's sub-Q, but you can do these things, but I'm like, just do it near that shoulder. He literally texted me within a week or 5 days, it is 90% better. He's like, now to work on the rest of my body, but so I don't know, the BPC 157 would help, but the EXO/XOE that we use for the aesthetics, the plant-based exosomes, you can rub it in.
And it just seeps.
Massage it in, a tiny amount. You only need a tiny, I sell these syringes like crazy for $200, and it lasts weeks and weeks. And it will actually help regenerate it, but it will immediately take pain away. So that stuff.
It's topical, not an injection.
It's you don't. Yeah, we don't. I don't inject plant-based stem cells. I've heard of some people experimenting with that. I don't. I do real stem cells, but they're expensive. But the XOE, my personal story, just knowing how good they were for aesthetics, and I kept hearing they're good for musculoskeletal. Professional athletes use them. I had a cardiac ablation from a misfiring area in my heart, and when they went in, they electrocuted my femoral sensory nerve with me wide awake twice in like 30 seconds. And it hurt. I mean, I screamed. Well, the pain afterwards was just unbearable. I mean, it was waking me up at night. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, this is, because like when if you get struck by lightning, you get nerve damage. So it's similar. And it was like the whole nerve track, like all over here. And I didn't think of it right away because I had never used the XOE for musculoskeletal. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I rubbed it in where the injury happened and then all down where it hurt. No pain for a month at a time. Not exaggerating. And it took about 1.5 years, but it regenerated it. But no pain a month at a time. So I would carry it with me. I was in Kentucky at a concert, I think right about the point when it was really regenerating. And I was like yelping. And I had it with me. So I carry it. I just gave my brother the one in my purse last night for his elbow. And I would just share it with people. I'm like, oh, your knee's killing you? You need a knee replacement? Put it on. See them 2 weeks later, they didn't have pain.
Interesting.
I wish I had some with me. I have a syringe, but it's derived.
No way, I'm swinging by. I'm swinging by.
It's the exact same syringe glass, but it's the Derive for hair that I happen to have in my purse for some reason. But probably thought it was the XOE when I grabbed it.
The XOE has the smallest molecule, so that's why just topical, they can penetrate deeper.
It does.
Enough to like help you with pain.
Yep. Exosomes are tiny nanoparticles, and it happens to be the solution has a good vehicle that helps drive it in. But I also tell people just massage it till you don't have the lubrication anymore. And
with the heat, you can open up the pore. And,
Cool. Love it. How are we looking on time?
We are 2:35.
So I just wanted to mention one other thing with Michelle. The spa experience that she provides is amazing. So I just brought her up from Palm Beach County because I worked with her down there and I didn't want anybody else because she's so incredible. She's not just an esthetician, she's a medical esthetician. She's also got massage and hair and all that stuff under her belt. But she knows, I'm like, what do I do with my skin? Like, this kind of stuff. I'm medical. I understand like the medical side of it, the needles and the thermal heat and all that stuff. But like if somebody comes in and they're like, I've got dryness here and oily here, she's the person. And like acne and all that, but she creates this like incredible spa experience. But the knowledge that she has is as good as mine on all of that medical aesthetic equipment that we have, which is top of the line. So thank God she's there because...
Yeah, you guys are the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and she'll do a consult and tell people exactly what they need. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's not only like aesthetics. Like we combine like just aesthetics and functional medicine, so the results are guaranteed. Because it's not like beauty and just regular facials where your skin feels like nice for a couple of days. It's something like actually like helping with your concerns, not like aging, dryness, any skin condition.
Yeah, and don't just come in and get bot done and go out and not have the stuff to maintain it, And the things that we give, the whole system that goes with the treatment, the detox before and the repair after is all this technology. And the repair that we give people to do for like a week after morning and night is the XOE, just a little bit less potent.
Okay.
So it's wild, this stuff that we have.
Awesome. Love it.
That's why we look so good.
Well, here in the show, we are the Independent Thinking Show. So we have one question that we ask everybody to close up. You wouldn't really be an independent thinker if you didn't have the ability to adjust your preconceived notions as soon as you get some new information. So what we want to ask each one of you guys is, we'll start with you, Shannon. What is something that you believed for a fact maybe 5-10 years ago that you no longer believe today?
There's so many things.
This is like the top one.
I'll tell you exactly what it was. That maybe it's not that I didn't believe it, but I didn't know that the body was as miraculous as it is to literally reverse anything, including I've seen people recover from stage 4 cancer, just giving the body what they need. You know, it might take a lot, like a massive lifestyle change, you know, a massive diet change, and really doing all the things, like diving in completely, but it works. So that's a huge thing. And my parents both having cancer, both undetectable, I'm not scared anymore. I'm like, you people are messing up my genetics. I mean, you can prevent, but you can recover too, but you should do, at least try to reverse the damage you do to yourself somewhat.
We're awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Michelle?
Well, in the aesthetic world, I would say, I used to believe, or we believed before, like more is better. Actually, no. Sometimes you need just like the right products and the right treatments for your concerns and your needs. So that will be before, like years ago, for example, in facial, like more products, more step, more longer is your routine, is gonna be better. It's not. It's only with the right products that actually works for your concerns, for your needs.
Right.
So less is more.
And the
better.
technology.
Love it. That's awesome. So for people that want to reach out to you guys, go directly to Ally for Health. How can they find you, reach out to you guys?
Well,
We have all social media, Facebook, Instagram, website.
and it's all Ally, ALLY, the number 4 health. And then our website's allyforhealth.com. But on social media, we have Instagram and Facebook. I'm not a TikTok. I don't even have TikTok.
I do. So
she
you can
does.
find me.
You can find
Michelle
Michelle
Estrada.
by EY, Michelle Estrada, Estrada. And she'll put some of our things, but you can also find a lot of the experience that she has on hers. But yeah, so Ally for Health, you just search that in the social media. We are in South Leesburg on Highway 27, by way of, Claremont, Mineola. Just happened to find the space we needed there to fit all the technology that we have. And yeah, come see us.
I love it.
Thank you guys for your time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
you.